Okay, so Noah is asleep again, so I'm gonna try and be a little bit quiet. So I first want to start off this video by saying that if you didn't know already, I was depressed and suicidal during my pregnancy towards the end. And I want to say that because I want people to know that I wasn't in the right headspace during the end of my pregnancy. And a lot of people assume like, oh, well, you were depressed because your child was going to have Down syndrome, like you're suicidal because your child's going to have Down syndrome, and that's not the case, which is why I'm also making this video. But another reason is because I'm in a couple of support groups for moms who have children with Down syndrome. I'm in a couple who, you know, not only moms but dads, families, uncles are in the group as well. But I see new moms come in and they'll post, hey, we just got the diagnosis. And some of the moms will automatically be accepting, which I think is awesome. They're like, we don't care, we're gonna love our baby no matter what. Send us your story or tell us what happened with you. And other moms are saying the exact same things that I did. You know, when I had first found out. They're worried, they're scared, they don't know what to do, they don't know how to feel, they don't know if what they're feeling is appropriate. You know, why am I feeling this way? And, you know, it's sad even some moms after they give birth, you know, a month or two later, they still have no feeling or connection with their child. So this is a very real thing, which is why I do feel more comfortable talking about how I felt. I will probably upset some people with the things that I say in this video. Some people will probably be like, oh, you're so gross for thinking those thoughts, or you're disgusting, like you're a shitty person. But I am not one in a million people who felt the way I did when I found out Nova's diagnosis. It's the truth. I'm definitely not the only one or the few that feel this way. A lot of times people will say they're going through a grieving process, not to compare to actually losing a child, but to say you pictured your child a certain way and now it's not like that. So again, I do want to bring it up that I wasn't in the right headspace. I was ignorant to what Down syndrome is, what it means to raise a child with Down syndrome. I didn't know anything about it. I had never even talked to someone with Down syndrome, never looked into it, and unless you're actively trying to learn about something, you don't really know about it, and that was me with Down syndrome. So I guess I'll start, just kind of get straight into it because I don't want this video to be too long. So on top of being depressed and suicidal towards the end, I don't want people to think that that was the first time I've ever felt those kind of ways. I had felt depressed prior to my pregnancy. I felt suicidal prior to my pregnancy, for other reasons, of course. So it wasn't a new feeling for me being pregnant. And oh my god, all of a sudden I'm feeling this deep sadness. I'm feeling this, and this. It was something I had felt before. Damn, my phone's going off. So I guess I'll start by when I first got the possibility that I was gonna have a child with Down syndrome, which in the last video I had talked about. I was in the hotel room when my doctor called me saying I was high risk. Now, like I said, I was in California working, and I remember since I live 2 hours ahead of Cali time, it was kind of early over there still, and bro, can y'all hear my phone? Shit. So it was still early in Cali, and me, my boss, and another woman were all getting ready to drive over to a school we were going to be working at. And I remember, I don't remember exactly how I felt, but I do remember being in the car and going through my phone as we're driving, like, what's Down syndrome, what does it mean, what does it mean to be kind of high risk, what is the percentage, anything I can find I was looking for. And then I remember them saying something to me, and I was like, huh, what? And they just kind of laughed, like, oh, you're not paying attention. And I just couldn't get it off my mind. Then later, I had went to run an errand for them. I think I had to pick up some paper or print something out. And on the way over, I was just crying. I thought, I didn't know what to think. And the first experience that I had with feeling like Nova, like I had to prove, and I say this looking back, I had to prove that Nova's life was worth living from the very beginning, and I wish I could have been her advocate sooner. I wish I'd been more accepting of the diagnosis sooner than I was, because before I left the Cali trip, the woman that I was with the night before we left, I was in the room and I was telling her, hey, this is why I might have been feeling off. This is what I was told by my doctor, because they knew that I was pregnant. I was 20 weeks for sure at that point, because I remember taking a 4-month picture. And she told me, well, it's okay to have an abortion if that's what you want to do, because I would, I couldn't do it. And that was the first time someone had told me that, and people have told me that, after Nova's born, people say, oh, well, why didn't you have an abortion? Like, did you find out too late? Oh, well, that sucks. And so that was my first encounter with it, and so that didn't make me feel any good, and that's not her fault. People, I feel like they want to let you know that the worst is okay, and maybe having an abortion isn't the worst, but in my mind, I was already 20 weeks, like I couldn't do something like that, even if I wasn't accepting of the diagnosis. And at that point, I didn't really know how to feel. I was just kind of all over the place. So from the time that I got the well, you're high risk, to the time I confirmed through the amniocentesis that Nova did have Down syndrome, in between that time I was constantly praying. And I'm not a religious person. I am not. And I just kept praying, and it sounds bad. Like I said, I'm probably going to upset some people with some of the things I'm going to say, but I was praying, please don't let my child have Down syndrome. Please give me, now I was thinking, because before I took my child's health for granted. I thought, yeah, I'm going to have a healthy baby. Now I just got to worry about what they're going to look like. Like, will she have my features? What is she going to look like? And now I was like, oh, give me a healthy baby. And when I said healthy, I meant typical. I meant without Down syndrome. And despite that, Nova wasn't born healthy, because we were in the NICU for 2.5 months. She had a handful of complications for sure. But when I was saying that, I meant without Down syndrome. And I remember my mom had even took me to a church on the opposite side of town. I went in, and I don't know what they prayed for. My mom and my dad both went with me. But when I finally went in, I sat down. I don't know if I was kneeling or just sitting, but I started to pray, and I said, please give me what I can handle. And it was in that moment, at that day, that my mindset kind of switched. And again, this was before I had the call from the amniocentesis. So at this point, I was tested, didn't know what the results were. So I'm praying, and at this point, my mindset switched, and I thought, give me what I can handle. Okay, sorry. And, when I was upset throughout my pregnancy, it wasn't like, oh, every day I'm so upset. It would be waves of sadness. There would be days where I was fine. I didn't think about anything, I'd have a normal day. But I definitely did have waves of sadness, and days that just really would hit me hard. So, fast forward to when I finally get the call, the genetic counselor confirms Nova does have Down syndrome. I was in my room, I got off the phone, and I went to lay in bed, and I just laid there for a second, and then I started crying. And I cried because immediately I thought, this is a tease. how can I be given a daughter, but she's not going to get married, and she's not going to go to prom, and what if she doesn't play sports? Like, what if she doesn't join anything and I don't get to cheer her on? Like, and looking back, I'm like, those are such stupid things to worry about. But that's what I was thinking. At first it was like, oh, what if she doesn't do this? What if she doesn't do this? And then it was, she's not going to do it. She's not going to get married. She's not going to do this. And again, I was very ignorant to what people with Down syndrome are capable of. I didn't know anything. So I'm having these thoughts and just feeling upset. And I remember I kept feeling this way throughout my pregnancy. And like I said, it wasn't every day, like I'm so upset about this, but there would be, a couple times a week or every other week that I was feeling like, wow, just in my feels, And I remember at one point, and throughout this time, I'm still researching, what does Nova need? Like, what therapies does she need? Like, what can I set up for her? What is she going to need to be successful in society? Can she go to a home when she's old enough, like a community where she can try to be independent? Where can she work? How can I get her into college? I'm thinking of all these things. Just because I wasn't having an emotional connection does not mean I was not preparing for Nova. I was trying to think of all the ways she could be successful and that I was going to help her to be successful. I just wasn't feeling an emotional connection. And as I'm thinking of all these things that she can't do, I remember one day I was sitting at the table with my mom, and I was like, well, what if she doesn't play soccer? What if she doesn't do this or that? And my mom goes, well, how do you know she wants to do any of those things anyway? And it hit me. I was like, damn, I am so worried. What if she doesn't play these sports or do this or do that? And what if she just doesn't want to? Like, there's, little boys out there where their dad might think, oh, I want him to play football or do this, but they're into science or they're into art or they're into music. Nova's gonna do whatever she wants to do. Like, and I can't be like, oh, you're not playing soccer. It was just dumb. And then my mom goes, and I wanted you to be a gymnast. Now what are you doing? Nothing. So I was like, okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. So my mindset was shifting a little bit, but ultimately I was still feeling, kind of sad, scared, worried. And I felt this, I guess, more intense sadness towards the end because I kept thinking, what if, because I couldn't get over the diagnosis still. Emotionally, I couldn't. Even though, like I said, I was preparing and planning, I could not emotionally get over the diagnosis. I couldn't. And I kept thinking, what if this doesn't change once she's born? And I pictured myself loving Nova. Like, I wanted to love Nova. This was my daughter. I envisioned me loving my daughter. But there was these voices in the back of my mind saying, but what if you don't? What if you don't get over this? What if you don't love your daughter? Well, that's shitty. And then it was this chain reaction, this cycle of thoughts, because it was, I'm gonna love her. I want to love her. That's my daughter. But then it was, but what if you don't? What if you don't love her? Damn, well, that makes you a shitty person because you don't even love your own daughter. Like, what if you don't? What if you don't have this connection? And then it was, wow, now I'm a shitty person. I'm a shitty mom, and I'm not even really a mom yet, And it was, back, but I want to love her. She's my daughter. I'm gonna love her. But what if you don't get over the diagnosis? So that was really when I started spiraling, I guess. It was the overthinking, the what if. I didn't know. It was an unknown territory at this point because I did not have Nova. And everyone would tell me, oh, when you have her and you see her for the first time, it's instant love at first sight. And I wanted that. I wanted that immediately. And I even remember towards the end, I was real sad, real depressed. I think at one point for sure at one point, I guess my mom called my neighbor to come check up on me because I don't know if I wasn't answering my calls or what. And also I was working at the time, not physically up and around, but mentally I was working from 11 in the afternoon or 11 in the morning to 1 a.m. like literally all day, just mentally working, which was okay because I was able to get my mind off things, but at the same time, you know, I was depressed, I was suicidal, I was a mess. And after feeling this way for a couple days, I couldn't take it. I needed to have Nova with me because I needed to feel that connection already. Because like I said, at that point it was unknown, and this what if you don't love her? Wow, you're so shitty for thinking that. It just kept eating me alive. I went to my doctor and I told her exactly how I felt, and I was scared. I even said, Mom, can you come with me? Because I think I had even cried to my mom at one point, like, I wanna die, and I'm scared that I'm feeling this way now. Like, what if I hurt us? Like, what if I can't handle it? Like, what if I do crash my car? You know, like I'm envisioning, and I thought, well, when I tell my doctor this, what if they take her away from me as soon as I have her? And so I was scared to tell my doctor how I was feeling, but I finally did, probably around 34 weeks. I want to say it was really towards the end. And when I was telling my doctor, I had also told her that I wanted to be induced early because I needed to feel that connection. And I remember she wouldn't do it. But she had told me, you know, if you really aren't going to feel a connection, having her induced early isn't going to change that. And I was like, okay, you know, you're right. But I just really wanted to express how I felt because, like I said, I'm not the only person who felt these roller coaster of emotion, this sadness, this confusion, this depression, this, you know, I'm not the only one. And I want, you know, if someone who is pregnant with a baby with Down syndrome now and they're feeling this type of way, I want them to know they're not alone. And, you know, even I know some people are just watching because they want to know mine and Nova's story. But I did want to try and better explain myself and how I felt. And unless you've been in a situation like this, you don't understand. And I wish so much that, you know, I could have been Nova's advocate earlier. Because I think I even mentioned in the last video, whenever I was confirmed that by the specialist, I was like 24 weeks, and he's like, well, you can go to Colorado to have an abortion. And so it was just me feeling like, wow, this isn't, I mean, it's just crazy that people tell you that. And yeah, I'm trying to explain myself the best that I can, but it is hard because I didn't even understand my own emotions at the time. And I can't stress enough how much I wish I could go back and tell myself, dude, it's gonna be okay. Like, stop letting these what ifs get to you. That's not who you are as a person. But I will say that I do want to make another video of how I felt when Nova was born, because there wasn't an immediate connection, and that did mess with my head a little bit. But that was my emotional journey through pregnancy, finding out the diagnosis. And I'm sure I left a bunch out because I didn't want this video to be long, but I tried to, again, explain myself the best I could and put in these vital pieces and these turning points and the toughest moments I felt during pregnancy. So I'll probably be putting up another video in a week or two if you want to keep watching. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, because I'm honestly an open book when it comes to this. I think it's important that this needs to be shared. So, see you guys later.